Why defend Islam and kill people on apostasy and blasphemy when two ayats from the Quran prove irrefutable contradictions between them, and it is not my opinion or perspective about them, proving that Islam is a false religion and the Quran is from other than Allah. Surah Nisa ayat 82. Then do they not reflect upon the Quran? If it had been from any other than Allah, they would have found within it much contradiction. So we start with this ayat to see if there are any contradictions in the Quran without coming to any conclusions about Allah being the true God and Prophet Muhammad being the true Prophet of Islam. Another thing is that this ayat gives the right to each and every individual to do their own research first to see if there are any contradictions in the Quran. When can Allah bring an exception to His rule, such as the case in Surah Mujadila ayat 2 and Surah Ahzab ayat 6? Surah Mujadila ayat 2 says, "Those who pronounce zihar among you to separate from their wives, they are not consequently their mothers. Their mothers are none but those who gave birth to them." And indeed, they are saying an objectionable statement and a falsehood. Surah Ahzab ayat 6. The Prophet is more worthy of the believers than themselves, and his wives are in the position of their mothers, meaning his wives are the believers' mothers. So here we have Allah making an exception for the wives of the Prophet and has made them mothers, while in Surah Mujadila ayat 2 it says that none can be their mothers except those who give birth to them. So none can be the mothers except those who give birth to them goes against Allah making wives of the Prophet the believers' mothers in Surah Ahzab ayat 6, as it is stated. So Allah cannot make an exception here either in His law, because here He's closed every kind of exception. In Surah Mujadila ayat 2, when He says, "The mothers are none but those who gave birth to them." Now we come to Surah Ahzab ayats 4 and 5, in which in 4 He says that Allah speaks the truth. So now in this case, no exception to the rule or law of Allah can be made. However, we see that Allah has made that exception Himself by making the Prophet's wives believers' mothers in Surah Ahzab ayat 6. Another problem we have is that the Muslims have they think that you can call the sons of another, your adopted sons, your sons, and you can call someone your mother who is not your mother, but that you should not take them as your real mothers or your sons, your adopted sons, your real sons. Or what Allah means by saying here in ayat 4 of Surah Ahzab that such is only your manner of speech by your mouths, is that you cannot implement a law by saying something like, you are my son, so that I would not marry your wife after you have divorced her, right? It could mean this, and it does mean that right here. Meaning, in other words, Allah would never have you, by law, take someone else's mothers as your own mothers, or someone else's sons as your own sons, which He has done in Surah Ahzab ayat 6 regarding the Prophet's wives. So we have here Akamedi Puya Ali commentary from Multilingual Quran, Shia commentary. This is under Surah Azab, Ayat 6. His wives are their mothers. Has been mentioned to say you should not marry his widows after him at any time. So this, what it means is that not only out of respect did God put make the wives of the Prophet, the believers' mothers, but also to bring about this law legally, forbidding you to marry the Prophet's widows. Again, by stating in the Quran ayat Surah Azab ayat 6 that the wives of the Prophet are the believers' mothers, it implements, it brings a law in that you can now not marry, not only respect and honor them, but not marry the widows of Prophet Muhammad. So it brings a law in which is contrary to the ayats and the reasons given in Surah Mujadila ayat 2 and Surah Azab ayat 4 and 5. So let me put it this way. What Allah means in Mujadila ayat 2 and Azab ayat 4 to 5 is that you should not legally, even by law, take adopted sons as your real sons. For example, making them heirs to your inheritance, and call your wives mothers in divorcing them. Then Allah uses the term mother to do the same. That is to implement a law to forbid believers from marrying the widows of Prophet Muhammad. Again, to explain in other words, according to Surah Mujadila ayah 2, a woman who is not your mother, who has not given birth to you, the term mother then should not be used for her to make her unlawful for you to marry by law, or Allah using it to make her unlawful for you to marry, as Allah has done in Surah Azab, Ayah 6, in the case of a prophet's wives when they become widows. Hope I've made it clear for you now to see the contradictions in Surah Mujadila Ayat 2, Surah Azab Ayat 4 to 5, against Surah Azab Ayat 6, and have proven that Allah cannot make an exception to the un-Islamic law He has condemned and use it in the same way for wives of the Prophet, making them unlawful for the believers to marry when widowed.